Hello. Today we are going to talk about closure in Rust. What are they and why they matter? So, closure confuses a lot of people. Even I was confused. Even more experienced programmers than me. But in Rust, they are even more confusing because the language forces you to think about how closure captures data, and that's actually a good thing. Today we are breaking down closures from first principle and then showing Rust how makes them explicit and powerful. What like what even is a closure, right? Let's start with simple. A closure is a function that can access variable from a scope where it was defined. That's it. Here is a normal function in front of you, like a add function. This function takes two parameters. It doesn't remember anything about the outside world, but a closure is different. Like the second one, the closure captures y from the outside surrounding. Every time you call add y, it uses a y that existed when the closure was defined, not when it is called. That's the core idea. So maybe now you're understanding little by little. Let's move into bit more depth to understand the closure syntax. Closure uses pipes. Rust inside the pipes you list the parameter. After you write the body, it's different from a normal function, and that's intentional. It signals that this thing is different and it can access outside variable. Compare this. A regular function multiply xy. We are just multiplying, right? Now with the explicit body. Notice that closure doesn't declare types. Rust enforces them, and it doesn't have an explicit return keyword. The expression is the return value. You can add braces for the longer bodies, but for simple stuff, one liner is clear. So I hope you are able to understand a bit more into depth how the closure is. But you have any doubts, you're always welcome to write me in the comment section. Let's move to a bit more. How closure captures variable. Here the Rust is different from JavaScript, Python or C++, where a closure captures a variable from its scope. Rust asks, how does it capture it? There are three ways and Rust automatically picks the efficient one, but you can also control it. The three capture methods are by reference, by mutable reference, and by move. Let's see every one of them action. So the first one is by reference. The closure borrows X immutably. That means it cannot change it within the closure itself. It reads the value but doesn't own it. You can call the closure multiple times and X is still available after. This is the default. Rust try to be efficient, borrows when possible. So please stop the video here and try to write this code on your own so that you can see the compiler errors or any problem you have. But we are going to our next point. The next point is by mutable reference. Now the closure borrows X mutably. It can modify the value, but here's the rule. While the closure exists, nothing else can borrow X, not even you, and the borrower checks enforces this. So basically, once you are borrowing a closure, no one can else borrow X at the same time because that's how Rust is made. And this is called a mutable borrow, right? Because you can modify the reference when you are borrowing it. The third one is a bit more tricky and actually effective. You take the ownership. You force a closure to take the ownership by using the move keyword. Now the closure owns S, so it owns the variable. When the closure is created, S is moved into it. That means the outside S is freed. After that, S is no longer available in the outside scope. This is useful when you are passing a closure to another function that will run it later or storing it somewhere. I hope you are able to understand like till now, because I know this is a bit more complicated to understand, but Rust revolve around the concept of ownership and borrowing, and that is very important for this language. Now we are going to talk about why Rust enforces forces you to think about this. This is hard part for people coming from other languages. It was really hard for me when I switched from Rust to C++ to Rust. In JavaScript or Python or C++, a closure just capture variables. You don't think about borrowing. Rust makes you explicit. Why? Just because of memory safety. The more go you into automotive or any other safety critical application, you need memory safety. If a closure borrowed a reference to a variable that got freed before the closure ran, your program crashes. It's like same thing. You're putting something in the memory, you free the memory before even the other thing can access it. You get an error because you are right now accessing a memory with a garbage value, or it could be possible the memory doesn't belong anywhere and you just get an error when you access a memory. So this is an undefined variable, undefined like result which is not accepted, right? Rust prevents that at the compile time by being strict about captures. That's a feature, not a bug. So when you compile and any variable is not defined, it throws an error. Here's a practical example how this matters. So basically I was showing you the code, right? Um, so let's move to the practical example without explicit error. So if in this case X goes out of scope, basically it will throw an error, right? Or you have to use the move explicitly. Now, when do you use closure? Now, when do you how they work? When do you use them? Higher order function passing a closure to a map, filter, sort by. So basically, if you want like a filter operation, a custom filter operation for a map, you can use a closure. You can also use closure for a callback. That means you pass it to a function whenever the function or a component done its job, it will call your callbacks, and you can pass actually a closure instead of defining a function to it. Deferred execution. So you're capturing the state now, but you're calling it right, like something called a delegate function. So you can see it, you can do it with multiple things, and it is actually really useful. Please try to use it with, like for example, a map for you, where you defined a custom filter operation, and this will come very handy. Now we want to do a wrap up and want to make you understand like we have gone through a lot in this video. I hope this was not very quick for you. If there is something an issue, please write in the comment section. But closure are the function that remembers their context. Rust makes you explicit how they remember it, by reference, by mutable reference, or by ownership. These will very restrictive, but it's what makes Rust safe. And that's why Rust is really important in the current scenario and in safety critical application. And right now, Rust main usage is also coming into drones. Um, so that's it for today's video. I hope you are able to understand the concept of closure. If not, if you have any doubts, please write to me in the comment section. But then I will see you in the next video. Have a nice evening and bye bye.